Good morning.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry we're a little bit late. You got caught up in traffic, and I just plain out didn't even get out the door until 9:30 at my house today.
Yeah.
So we're so glad you're here. And how was your week today? How was your week this week?
It's been very good. How about you?
It's good. Yeah, it's been a good week.
It's cooled down today. Feels good.
Yeah, Isabella and I are doing a girls' day today. That's last night we did, I guess I should be in your spot a little bit more. We had pizza last night and had a late night movie, so it was fun. Hey, Michael, welcome in. So today's topic we're going to discuss is actually depression, because I felt like we talked a little bit about it last week, and there were some, kind of comments coming up. And so this is, I think, such an important topic in the discussion, because I know I went through a major depression when I at 30, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. But if you have ever gone through it, what did you do to get through it? Because someone who will see this video would love to hear from you, and like to maybe, if you have some tips, definitely let us know. Have you ever been through depression?
I have. And I also wanted to just mention first off that, again, we say it before, but we are not counselors.
No, not at all.
And if you think that you're going through depression, you should definitely consult your doctor, and you might even go on medication, and there's no shame in that.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that out there before we get started.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good call. Yeah, because we don't, I got it. First of all, the thing is just tell somebody. Let somebody know. But do you want to tell your story or how you got through it?
Sure.
Or?
I never ended up actually going on medication, and I didn't even think I was depressed until I started counseling. And because I guess I didn't, you think that, oh, I'm not depressed. That's like other people who are real down and sad. And I was pretty functioning, but I didn't realize that I had suppressed so much for so long that it caused a lot of anxiety and depression in me. And I didn't end up going on medication, which no other reason than I just wanted to try first without it. And I was very committed to doing a lot of things. If you can't commit, then I would say definitely start off with the medication. But I did a lot of reading. I was in counseling once or twice a week for a year. And I also did a lot of meditation and things like that really helped me.
Meditation.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you said medication. So
no,
just
meditation.
Make sure I got that right.
Yeah,
meditation.
Yeah.
Hey, Kobe. So my story is that I was 30, and it was just getting ready to turn 30, so I was 29 years old. And I had my whole singing career was my whole life. And they'd found a polyp on my vocal cords, and so I had to get surgery. And 8 months later, I was singing again and got another one. And this time I actually had 2 vocal cord polyps. So I thought for sure that was the end of what I was ever going to sing again. And at the same time, I was not married. I wasn't even close to getting married. The guy that I had totally fell in love with, he just totally cheated on me, and that broke my heart. And not only that, I was like, I'm looking at 30, and I have no children. I have nothing. I felt like I completely just have nothing. And I cried and cried and cried. I didn't know I was depressed at all, but for almost a full year. And it wasn't until, and I was very functioning too. I functioned, and I was happy. In fact, I went to a psychologist that my dad set me up with, and I went to see him, and he was like, oh, she's fine. I was like, okay, awesome. And anyway, so I ended up going to counseling too for, I went to a counselor for almost a year, 3 times. It started out 3 times a week, then went down to 2, then went down to 1 time. And I'll tell you one of the best things for me I did go on medication, but the medication that I went on, it said if you go off of it at all, if you skip a dose, if you're not compliant with it, your depression will come back so much worse.
Yeah.
And so don't mess around with that stuff. Make sure you are talking to a doctor. You really be compliant with what your psychologist is telling you to do. So I was very compliant, and I made sure that I stayed on it. And he also said the other thing to me was, if you go on this medication and you don't do the work, it doesn't make any difference. That medication's not going to help you in the long, because you're going to go back to doing the same junk you were doing before, making bad decisions, going into depression, all of that kind of stuff. And it'll be worse the next time. Like, I have no interest in revisiting this ever again in my life. And I started exercising again. I started eating right. I was really in the Bible, praying a lot, doing everything that I could to make sure I got better. So one of the first things that, Michael, it wasn't a stupid comment. I'll tell you, we'll talk about your comment in just a second. But one of the things that, very first time that I went to see my counselor, he said to me, I want you to write down 10 things that you love about yourself. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Do you think I could write one thing, and that it was that I had nice hands? That was it. And so for me, that was really eye-opening, and I didn't really see it until, probably years and years later. What I understand now is that I was so selfish not to see what I had in front of me. I was so blessed. I had a great family around me. I had a body that was functioning. I was beautiful. I was still talented. I just had to figure out what it is that was next. I had food to eat. I had a car. I had a roof over my head because I could go home to my parents, and that's what I did. I had to do that. I hated doing it, but I did, and they took me in, and so kind of good. So I would, number one, I think that my feeling is, if you are feeling really depressed or feeling really bad, number one, start writing down the things that you love about yourself, and if you can't figure that out, start to find that love, I think, within yourself, and because that's so crazy important. And then and definitely tell somebody, tell a friend, and get the help that you need, because it's a really slippery slope, and no one needs you depressed. Nobody. You're not doing anybody any favors, and you're especially not doing yourself any favors by doing it. And I know that for myself. I felt like I lost a year of my life. But what I also found in that, saying out that loud, what I found out was the best, even though it was the darkest time in my life, it was the best time ever in my life, because I grew so much, and I found out that I had a brain. I found that I was still talented. I found out that I could do other things. I found out that I had a God who loved me. I had a family who loved me. So there was so much that I went through, and because I always prayed to God, if I can get through this, I know, Lord, that you can bring me through anything, and that's exactly what's happened. And so I've used that dark time in my life as such a basis for everything else. So when breast cancer came along, oh well, I couldn't have a baby. It's okay. It was a really dark time, but I knew if I could get through what I got through when I was turning 30, I can get through all of that. And then now I have a lovely daughter. I'm healthy. I'm well. But
and I think
Judy,
that's such a big thing, is the confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I think we start to lose self-confidence, and that causes depression.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how you said he asked you to write down 10 things. The first question my counselor asked me was, what do you do for fun? And I couldn't answer that question. And I think when you stop taking time for yourself and thinking that you're not even worth doing your things that you enjoy doing, it really can take a toll on your self-esteem, and in turn cause anxiety and depression.
Yeah. So I want to, Kobe says, if you're feeling depressed, even if you have everything, it still doesn't make you feel good. People say you should be happy, but you aren't. You just can't turn it off. Good advice to seek help and to find out how to deal with it.
Right.
And so Kobe, you bring up a really good point, because I think, and you brought this up last week, which it was really important, which that if you're saying, well, I'm really depressed, and somebody says, well, just get over it. Well,
right.
That's easy to say, but it's not easy to do, and they're not living in your body, and they're not living in your shoes. So I do think that having somebody, because here's the other really important point. Any one of us that have been through depression before, or any hard thing that in your life, period, use it for good. Mm-hmm. Use it to help somebody else, and that's what I have done through, I try to do that with all of the major things that I go through. I know I'm not the only person that will ever go through depression. I know I'm not going to be the last, and somebody else is going to come along and say, how did you get through it? And that maybe something that I did that can help them to go through that. So these things that we go through in life, like depression, they are so important for you to get better, because your job then is to help somebody else get lifted up and out.
That's what I always say. Don't go through your struggles in vain.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be wasted. Use it to help someone else.
Yeah.
And like you said too, tell somebody, because they'll hold you accountable for getting better and getting help.
Yeah. We've had, so I want to go to say something with, Michael had said something about he's depressed because he can't find somebody, and maybe he should just give up, and he said, I know that's a stupid comment. Michael, it's not a stupid comment, because you're looking for somebody, and you're looking for somebody to be with and spend your life with. It's not dumb, and it's totally normal and natural. So my thought for you is, are you really ready? And do you really want it? And if you really, really want that person, you'll be that person. And you will find that person, because they're just waiting for you to say, I'm ready. And they're not going to come in until you're absolutely ready. So it's you're stopping that process, and that's a whole other conversation we can totally do.
I could totally go on this tangent right here, but
so
that could be another week.
Let's do that. Let's do that for next week.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get the things that you really want
Yes.
in your life? So we'll talk about that.
Okay.
So good call there. Let's see.
I think everyone deals with depression at some point in their life. Unfortunately, no one talks about it. I think people feel ashamed. We need to be able to talk about this and not be ashamed.
Absolutely.
I agree too that maybe not everyone, but almost everyone, if not everyone, deals with it at some point in their life, because you go through struggles.
Yes.
It's guaranteed.
I think guys guys that are join me here, tell us if you feel like it's even, I think, more taboo for guys to go through depression than it is for women, because women have so many hormonal kind of shifts that go up and down. I know that I'm just getting ready. I'm going into perimenopause right now. The cancer drugs actually threw me into all the menopause symptoms without actually stopping my period. So I'm full out. I'm not there, but it put me into all those hormonal changes. But I can start to sense that they're starting to happen again. So women have it, but men, I don't know whether it's really as
You're both
prevalent.
doing so many people such a good service by being upfront and talking about this subject. Good job, ladies. Thanks. Yes,
Thank you,
we
Kobe, for
appreciate
sharing. I appreciate it. And hi, Judy. Let's see. We read that one. It helps to grow and serve others, and that's very true. Kobe says it's good to serve others. It really is. And Judy says she was depressed for 3 years after her son died. I had to get help and start antidepressant medication. It really helped. And Judy, let me just encourage you. Both of those things, you losing your son and also the depression, those two things, please, please, please don't leave those in vain. Help somebody else, and I bet you are, because it's the only way that anyone can ever possibly get through anything, is to have somebody to hold their hand and say that they understand. And I'm so glad that you said something, and I just wish you many blessings as you're going to bless somebody else through tragedy. And Kobe says, Michael, you can probably read that. Don't ever give up, Michael. Everyone needs someone. Be open, and she will come to you when you are ready to receive her. You see, women are smart, Michael. And yeah, Kobe says it's more accepted for women, I think. Guys say they're having their, guys should say, they're having their periods. Guys can't say that.
Yeah. Well, I agree, though. I think that men are less likely to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, guys just don't really talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
so we're so glad you all came in. Liz, we'll give one more comment, and then we'll kind of wrap up.
She had horrible postpartum after her first. I finally admitted I was struggling and got help. No shame in it. Yeah. And that's another thing after women have babies, and then they expect that they're going to be so happy and overjoyed, and it's actually really hard. And a lot of times you do, with the hormones and everything, you do experience depression. So, and then you're feeling ashamed of that.
I had actually a friend of mine. I just talked to somebody recently that had, after her third child, she had 2 miscarriages, had her third child, and for the first 2 or 3 years of her last child's life, she doesn't remember at all.
Yeah.
And she's finally, getting the help that she needs, and can I just tell you, a whole totally different person. It's amazing to watch this. And Dawn Marie says, okay, never personally struggle with depression, but I'm a teacher at Atlantic City, and many of my students are riddled with it. It's very sad. Isn't that, it's just, it is, it's sad. And that's why we have to help each other. So if you have struggled with it, you've gotten through it, and you talk about it and be upfront about it and not be ashamed of it, and just something you went through, somebody else will say, I'm just kind of struggling with it. And I hope that they will. So, Dwight's coming in to help out Michael. That's awesome.
He said, don't look, just find friends. I ended up marrying my best friend.
That's so great. So we'll talk about that next week, because I think that'll be a great subject to do that with. So thanks so much, you guys, for being open and honest with us and sharing your thoughts. Please share this on all of your Facebook pages. I'll put Bridget's information on my page. She'll put my information on hers. And if you could just share this video out, because it's such an important topic, and
get it out there, get it exposed, and we'll continue commenting too.
Yeah, we will. Thanks, you guys, and have an awesome day.
Bye.
Bye.